So we're talking about bleeding control. It can be something from a small cut to a much larger wound, severe bleeding. So the first thing we're going to do, if you can video click closer to this, I'm actually going to take this off because it's distracting. When we go to the field, I always carry a rescue kit. Gloves. Don't be doing any first aid or anything without that. And then I have a CPR mask on top because that's most important. If someone's not breathing, having a chest pain or something, want to get that squared away first. But for bleeding control, realistically, tape and gauze are going to be the best things that we can have out here for now, at least. And then we do have more gauze. I carry this antibiotic. It's basically betadine. You can put that on if you want to for minor stuff. Realistically, let me get Christine, the volunteer over here. Just put your stuff down. So if we're out in the field, obviously it's important to have everything, prepared ahead of time. But let me get Christine right here. Christine just has a cut. Move your jacket up there. If she just got a small little abrasion or something like that, that's why PPE is important, and protective equipment, gloves, helmets, this kind of stuff that we furnish for you as far as safety stuff. Also, you never go anywhere alone. That's not going to happen in the field. So there's always going to be somebody with her, even if you're off field. It's better to let people know she's never going to be alone. But what we can do, I'm going to grab my shears, and I'm going to grab the tape. And realistically, if it's something small, notice I got my gloves on. Apply pressure to it and just wrap it up, okay? This stuff is real nice. You can rip it or you can cut it with the trauma shears, but you want to apply pressure. If that's not enough, you can always go around multiple times and twist to apply more pressure, okay? If it's something severe, and I mean, a gunshot wound, a penetrating wound, something like that, as remote as we are, you're probably going to need a tourniquet. So why don't you remove that? The tourniquet, again, is for absolute total emergencies, life or death. That if she doesn't get bleeding control now, it's things like your femoral artery. If she doesn't get bleeding control now, she's going to suffer severely. So basically what happens is it would go over the injured part, you'd secure it, and you write the time that you secured it so that the doctors at the hospital will know. And then this is just like a valve on a sink or something. What you do is you turn it and tighten it and keep turning it, and then you can secure it with the rest of this bandage. So you're basically shutting off blood flow. But again, that's for absolute life or death bleeding situations, which hopefully we won't encounter. We do carry for field work insect and sting kits, which should include snake bites. If someone's been bitten by a snake, it's also important to grab the emergency blanket. This will keep them warm and stop them from going into shock. Anybody that has any sort of injury, go ahead and grab that. But this snake bite kit basically has an extractor that you can apply suction to the wound if necessary. But again, that's also an emergency. So the next thing I want to cover is how we would deal with a snake. We have preventative measures, and then we have interactive measures. Okay, I'm going to pretend for a minute that this black rope is a snake. Okay, if it's coiled up and it's going to strike, that's going to be a problem. So preventatively, we have these. These are snake gaiters. Okay, you guys can use these when you're hiking out and about around here. And basically what they do is they go over your foot and your ankle, okay, and they secure like this, and the snake can't get through that. Their fangs can't get through that. So we have these. Realistically, the first person in the group should carry it, whoever's walking first. With the grabbers, if you come across a snake or it's bit somebody, it's important to try and get it so that we can figure out what kind of snake it is and provide the proper antivenom. So with this, this is the head right here. Get as close to the head as you can, as quickly with keeping distance, and secure. Okay? It will probably chop the snake's head off, but that's okay. If you grab them, you can also move this little switch back, and it locks it in place. So now I can get, I can control it or do what I have to do with it. Okay. If there are any questions on that, let me know. Another thing I want to cover on this list is another type of common injury, a twisted ankle or something like that. Okay. Take your boot off real quick. So if we're way out or whatnot, even here, it's important to get stuff squared away as quickly as possible. So let me cut this real quick. So if Christine has stepped and twisted her ankle, we need to secure that as best as possible. To do that, I'm going to cut this cardboard. Use what you have available to you. Okay. You use what you have available to you. Now this is real sharp. I want to. All right, cool. So I'm just going to cut some small sections out of this. Now, usually these are already pre-cut. Before we go to the field, I'll make sure that we have some these splints just ready to rock and roll. But what we can do with them, right, is we can fold them around either this way around her foot, so step on the mat, or we fit that and then we can immobilize the foot that way, or we can do lengthwise and have a piece here and a piece on the other side. And then we can secure that with duct tape or the medical tape, okay? If it's directly to skin, we'll use the medical tape, but use what you have available to you. That'll provide some comfort and make sure there's no further injury. In handling what we do in an emergency, we have radios, okay? We have radios both for talking to each other and for calling for help if necessary, if there's no cell reception. These radios operate on the GMRS, the General Mobile Radio System, okay? In a second, I'm going to show you guys some more about that. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about with regarding these radios is their basic operation. I have a handout for you guys. We do use the phonetic alphabet, okay? Why? If I'm relaying a point to somebody and I say, hey, I'm at point A1, I want to say alpha 1, okay? If I say, hey, I didn't hear what you said, well, I need help. Hotel Echo Lima Papa. So it's important to use that and know that. As I said earlier, we operate on the GMRS system, General Mobile Radio Service. Okay, it's also around 440 megahertz. So these radios are line of sight. So if one person's on the other side of the hill, they're really probably not going to reach. They may. So plan on it being line of sight. They're already pre-programmed.
Frequency mode.
The frequency that we use for our research is 462.675 megahertz. We also have a tone called PL tone at 71.9 hertz, and that just means that other people can't hear us if they're on that same frequency and we can't hear them. It's like a lockout tone. To operate these radios, your volume is essentially up here at the top, power and volume. If I want to talk, I hold down the PTT button and I speak right into here above the blue. I could say Unit 1, Unit 2, radio check, something like that. All right. We do have a call sign that's assigned to us for field work. That call sign is WQYR 857, Whiskey Quebec, Yankee Romeo 857. If there are two groups in the field, then there'll be Unit 1 and Unit 2. So after every conversation, you want to use the call sign, right? So what I would do is if I'm talking to Norvina or someone over there, and they're Unit 2, that group is Unit 2, and I was going to ask them, can you relay your data to me? Okay, you're mapping this building, and it's going to be this point. Someone's going to have some data recording. I would say to them, Whiskey Quebec Yankee Romeo 857, Unit 1 to Unit 2. And they would say, Unit 2, go ahead, or Unit 1, go ahead. And I would tell them, hey, something's going on over here, whatever I need to communicate to them. At the end of that traffic, they're going to say over and out, and then they're going to say acknowledge with Whiskey Quebec Yankee Romeo 857. You need to use that every, the start and end of every transmission, okay? Radio procedures, we'll always have somebody, again, no one's going alone, but there's always going to be a lookout. Whoever's collecting data or doing whatever they're doing, someone's going to be looking around to make sure nothing's happening. If something is happening, if you yell rock fall, rock fall, rock fall 3 times, then it signifies that rocks are falling. Take cover. Evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. There's an emergency. Repeat it 3 times loudly and clearly onto the radio so everyone can hear it, and then everybody takes cover, even if you're not in the same vicinity. Out here, as you'll see in a minute, there are a lot of issues with rock falls, with snakes and that kind of stuff, so we do want to be careful about that. Okay? Over here, I hope to goodness we never have to use this as a backboard. In the event someone falls or has a spinal injury, or even if they don't, even if they can't walk out themselves, we can strap someone to this and carry them. It'll take a minimum of 4 people to carry them out. So if someone's way back up in the canyon and they fall and they can't get up or something, we're gonna strap them to the backboard, and then we're gonna carry them to where they can be rescued. Okay. Visibility and PPE are 2 other topics that we were talking about. Visibility, especially if you're in a roadway, we have reflective vests. Okay, everyone will wear one, regardless, so we can see you, that you can be seen, that you're not being secretive about what you're doing. If you're going to work with ropes at all, you're going to be using some sort of leather gloves like this. I'm going to go over some basic ropes equipment because we will be using ropes, whether or not to haul equipment, or to rescue one another, or to access certain places. Okay. The first rope equipment. So I'm gonna put these on since we're dealing with ropes. With different brush, there are different types of helmets that we can wear. So whoever in that group is actually doing the work will be able to use the different types of helmets that we have. If there's any sort of water around, or if there's flood risk, this is a water rescue helmet. Okay? It's not really a lot of protection, but if there's a chance you're working in a wash and there's a chance of a flash flood, you're going to need this, accompanied by a life jacket. We'll get to that in a minute. This is called a forestry helmet. It's got a wide brim. It's great for the sun. It's great for vegetation. It's not great for rocks. If you're climbing on or near rocks or in a rocky area, this really isn't what you want to have. This is more for thick brush or trees. If you're in a rockier area, you probably use the standard hard hat, for the sole reason that provides a lot more protection. And the back of your head, if you fall, it'll get protected, but you're not going to jam up your neck on something. The brim is just in the front. So this is more for rockier areas. We have these vests right here, and we have enough for everybody in the class when they're out in the field. These are basically the same thing as deer drags if you've ever been hunting. And what you can do, here I'll get Christine in the picture here for this. So this is going to go around one arm here. Now these are only for severe, so you can either haul equipment, or if something happens, and this goes around your waist, and button that first. Button that first, and then cinch it down. So again, this isn't to go rappelling. This isn't to go, climbing or anything like that. If I'm working in an area with unstable soil or rock, or I need to lean out over a ledge, I want to make sure that I have some means, whether or not I'm tying here. Is it too small? Okay, well, with the jacket, we'll get to that in a minute. But basically, what it will do is it will provide us a way to get you out if something happens, or you can drag equipment out, or somebody else if need be. The back of it has a nice little D-ring. Looks like that. So imagine I'm hooked into this vest. I can take, this is called a carabiner, okay? I unscrew it to unlock it, okay? And then I can unscrew that, and then I can hook it in and lock it in, okay? Now, whether this is on a person or this is around our equipment, I can maneuver that, and they have an anchor point, right? So I can anchor myself. I'm wearing this. I can anchor myself to a tree or something, so I don't fall, or if it's high wind conditions, something like that. This nut that's on here is I want to say they call it a figure 8 on a bite. Basically, what it is it allows you to have a loop right here that's real strong that you can use then for towing or pulling or tying yourself in. I can clip this into myself and that on a tree, and I'm not going anywhere. It's a very strong knot. I will show you personally if you want to learn that. I'm not going to take the time to do that now. but it's a knot that you should know if you're ever going to be going to the field regularly. I mentioned earlier, if there's any sort of a flood risk, flash flooding is a serious issue. So if there's any sort of issue, you can wear the helmet, but we also have life jackets. If some, even here in Crown Point, as dry as it is, the ditches and the channels around here can fill with water very quickly. How this will work with a life jacket is a proper way and a not proper way. First, you put it on. It should be on ahead of time. Okay? If you hear the word, flood, flash flood or something on the radio, don't be putting this on. Okay? So you want to make sure there are no twists in any of this. Okay? It's going to be tight. But if we're working in a flood risk area, this is what we have to have. Okay? The first thing you do when you get this is we want to make sure that it goes around the chest. It will be tight. That's good. This will keep you warm. You won't have any hypothermia. So you want to make sure it's centered over your chest. Okay? And then you want to secure the top first, then the bottom. If for whatever reason you have shoulder straps on yours, secure those next. Okay? What I have here, if I can find it, is, I'm going to take it off for this part, is I have another belt with all my ropes are connected to. So I'm going to demo this with Christine actually. Having rope like this, okay, I can clip this onto myself. That rope's not going anywhere. So we have, you'll notice, a secondary belt going around the outside. So our demonstrator here, Christine, slip that on. Okay, this one's probably a little too big for her, but go ahead and zip that up. This other belt that comes around the back here, grab that. Notice there's a whistle. If there's a flood or any sort of issue or whatnot, you can grab this whistle and you can blow on it. People will know where you are. So once that's secure, right? Then we have this belt. This belt has a pull release on it. The reason being, if she's trapped and something is holding her underwater and she's tied off to the shore, she can pull that and then get off and be able to swim away. Okay? So on the back of that belt that I just installed, that's the lower one, right? It's that one? It's the top one. Okay, it's the top one. With that, which is this right here, okay, I can clip in a throw bag or a rope. I'm going to use this one as an example here. So turn around that way, and I'm going to clip it to the one that has the release. Okay. So if you lean forward, so yeah, I can support her that way. Or lean back, come back. Right now, if she's trapped and something's holding her underwater, pull the thing, and then it'll come out, and then she can swim to safety. Okay. I have these. These are throw bags. They're not just for water rescue. What?
You gonna hook them on?
No, I'm not gonna hook them on. It can be used to hook onto somebody, but predominantly what these are used for is getting a rope from my location to your location. So I'm going to stand back here, and regardless of, Christine may have fallen down a ditch or been washed away, or say there's some important equipment that she needs to get, right? What we can do, I can pull out, a couple feet of this bag, right? A couple feet of this rope. There's a loop here. I want to hold on to this. I'm going to get a good grip on it, okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm actually still left-handed, I'm going to use this side. I want to get a real good grip. If she's down in a gully or a ditch, I'm going to throw this, and she's going to catch it. So get ready to catch this. So again, I have about a couple feet of rope in my hand, and now I throw back up towards the door just a little bit. Are you getting this? All right, when I throw that, grab that, okay, and now if there's some distance, now she has rope and I can haul whatever it is back, okay? So that's another tool that we have. This can be even used, okay, we have to get our GPS antenna up a steep hill, something of that nature. Or whatever it is, I need to get a line from one place to the other, we can do that, okay? What's next, I also carry some other equipment that we're going to bring to the field. This is just a little handy spade that has a clip. I can clip this to myself. This is called an entrenching tool. These are really good if I gotta dig anything or I gotta cut something down. This has a saw blade on the side. Okay, these are good for just being out and about in general. And it's probably, there we go. You're gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Before I take you guys out and show you our study sites, there's one more thing I want to discuss, and that is some of the measurements that we're going to be taking. Someone will have a whiteboard, or can you grab that pen real quick? Someone will have a whiteboard or some method of logging data. This is a measuring thing, okay? What we can do is measure what's called a transect. So if I leave this somewhere over here, I can measure along a line at certain intervals. I can measure every meter, every foot, right? So I can take a point, and someone is going to have a data logging, right? What we may do is we may have a situation where we have multiple rovers, and then we have a radio. And I'm going to say there's no vegetation at the first point. There is vegetation at the second point. There's none at the third. So that way there will be, third vegetation cover, so on and so forth like that. Okay? So now what we're going to do is two things. I'm going to show you guys the field site that we're going to be going to, and I'm going to show you a little trick called quick roping. Hasn't had a good burn in a number of years. So part of our project is to come through, not only if you look this way, the school itself, not only map the infrastructure, things like propane tanks, buildings, power lines, not just mapping that, but then doing a wildfire analysis for this area behind us, okay? And then off the other side. This is the area we're working with. It gets pretty rugged pretty quickly. If you look down here, this area is a little bit rugged. I'm not going to do anything. It's not that bad. Assistance. That's where comes in. Because I may not, I can walk on this just fine, but I may want a little bit of assistance, especially I have a heavy backpack, or I'm bringing something up or down, right? I'm going to want a little extra support. So what we're going to do, assuming I'm coming down, if I'm taking a point up here, I need to get back down. It's muddy, it's slippery, it's a little dangerous. I have my carabiner. Notice I have my gloves on for safety and my hard hat. What I'm going to do, if this is sturdy, which I'm not super sure how sturdy some of these are, so this is a sturdy anchor point, I'm going to take this. is. Skip down, okay? If this is real steep here, it's slowly Ow, it just fell out there, being an idiot. Other thing is there's more PPE that you might want to use. It's up to you. We have dust masks. If it gets really bad blowing dust, put one of these on. It's just better that way. We also have goggles. Okay, these are just like the goggles you use in chem lab. If there's an issue of body fluids or any sort of whatever dust, this can protect you from that. One last thing I want to discuss before heading out is on these radios, you don't want to grab them by the antenna. Always grab them by the base. When you push, wait a second before you talk. There's a difference between somebody going out to the field that's dressed properly, that has all their gear. People respect that. They see that. If we ever have to do anything like stopping traffic or working on the side of the road, there are additional procedures and policies that we'll deal with at that time. But if there are any questions, please email me. There's one map I want to show you guys. Can you bring the camera? As GIS people, part of what we do is, cartographic design and that sort of stuff. So you can see the maps that the county made are not particularly easy to read. There's not really a lot of pre-planning. Where are there high occupancy structures? That's what this project is going on. We're focusing mainly on the school and the wildfire risk surrounding that. Okay. Email me if you have questions. If you haven't already done the doodle, do the doodle. Set up your times, and we're gonna pick, a couple days where I might have 2 or 3 people coming at one time, but everybody that wants to go to the field will get a chance to. Okay? Thank you. Additionally, everybody should have a little hand sanitizer. I picked this up for $1 from Home Depot. It's just good to have out in the field. Another thing I like to carry is called a Siptic pencil. If I have a small cut, let's see if we have a cut. Nope, I don't. If I'm bleeding, like I cut myself shaving or something small, this is sodium aluminum sulfate actually. It will cauterize the wound. It burns like the dickens, but it will stop the bleeding. Also, men and women, if you shave, this is something that you should have anyway to stop the bleeding. Just additional stuff to carry. To the field.